Kirk is demanding a speedy trial in the case against her husband's accused killer, Tyler Robinson, after she claims his defense team is delaying proceedings.
Forgive him. You murdered my husband. I have to tell my daughter every day and explain to her why daddy's not coming home.
Something about this story just doesn't sit right. And the deeper you look, the more it starts to unravel. A shocking case, a rushed trial, millions of dollars under scrutiny, and a trail of questions nobody seems willing to answer. Was it all exactly how it was presented? Or is there a whole other side that hasn't been fully exposed yet? Stay with me.
This driver. You're the driver?
Yep.
Robinson. Can you tell me just really quick what happened?
I was coming this way, and he's just passing through, and he rolled out from here, or no, from there, I think.
Do you remember which lane you were in?
I was in one of those two lanes going this way. I think in the right, in the rightmost lane coming this way.
Because what's coming next might completely change how you see everything. The defense team keeps dragging things out day after day, and it's getting harder to ignore. Every time it seems like things might move forward, something new pops up with Erika Kirk, keeping the spotlight locked in. Now the latest situation making noise is this video showing Erika and her mother, Lori, celebrating with a man who looks almost identical to Tyler Robinson, the same man accused of taking Charlie Kirk out. That's where everything starts to feel a little too real and way too suspicious. Not long after that footage started making rounds online, Erika switched gears and filed a motion pushing for a speedy trial against Tyler. But wait a second, just days after everything went down, didn't Erika publicly say she forgave Tyler? That's where people start raising eyebrows. If she already forgave him, why rush the process now like this? And it doesn't stop there. She's also been straight up ignoring her husband's request to audit TPUSA finances, which is adding even more tension to the situation. Viewers are also calling out something major that doesn't quite add up.
Father, forgive them, for they not know what they do. That man, I forgive him.
Speedy trial rights don't belong to victims at all. They belong to the defendant under Utah law and the U.S. Constitution. Only the accused gets to push for or delay a speedy trial, not someone on the outside looking in. So now people are asking, why is Erika stepping into territory that legally isn't even hers to control? Something about that move just feels off, and people are definitely paying attention. Some people are starting to question if this is all a move to shift attention away from the messy accusations surrounding TPUSA. The idea floating around is that if Tyler Robinson is found guilty quickly, it becomes way easier for Erika to shut things down and signal, "Don't dig any deeper, don't ask questions about TPUSA." That's the part that's got people talking louder than ever. But then that footage comes right back into focus and flips everything upside down.
The devastating loss of Charlie Kirk, my incredible husband at UVU, Caleb has persisted with the same grit. It has been a long day. Trust me, you're not a grifter, honey. It's all good.
If the man seen celebrating with Erika's mother really is Tyler Robinson, why would he be anywhere near the family like that? That detail alone has people seriously confused. Some are even throwing out wild theories, asking if Tyler could be playing a role in something bigger, but there's no clear proof of that. Still, it raises one big question. How far do these connections actually go when it comes to Erika's circle and everyone tied to Charlie's situation? At this point, a lot of people aren't buying that version of events at all. There's a growing feeling that the story being told just doesn't fully line up, and you don't need to reach for extreme theories to notice the gaps. Then things got even more strange when older footage resurfaced from Erika's Instagram, showing her celebrating New Year's back in 2018 with her mom, Lori Franzi, and an unidentified man who looks a lot like Tyler Robinson. Now, to keep it real, there's zero confirmed proof that the guy in that video is actually Tyler.
My name is Joshua Peterson. I worked for Turning Point USA and Turning Point USA Fate, and I knew Charlie Kirk personally. I want to say on the record that there was a inner circle at Turning Point USA that was constantly working against Charlie and his interests and what he wanted to do, as well as there was a Jewish influence in Turning Point that he was not very fond of, that he wanted to get rid of. He tried doing this, he tried creating a Doge department, and he gets assassinated. Another thing that makes me believe this inner circle was constantly working against Charlie was because of the fact that he had a whole entire branch of Turning Point that he had no idea about, and that was the stock market branch. Now, the thing about this branch is it's been getting millions of dollars poured into it over the past 4 years now, and that's been seen through their latest tax returns. This stock market group that
The resemblance is strong, no doubt, but there's a major detail that makes that claim hard to believe. Tyler was reportedly born in 2003, which means he would have only been around 15 at the time of that footage. That alone throws a wrench into the whole theory. On top of that, some sources are saying the man in the clip could actually be Erika's ex-boyfriend, Ben Cabot Phillips, which adds a whole different angle to the situation. Still, with a lot of viewers convinced that Tyler might not be the full story, it naturally brings up bigger questions about how he ended up at the center of all this. People are wondering if there were any prior connections between him, Erika's family, or even TPUSA. But there's nothing clearly confirmed right now. What is known about Tyler so far doesn't really match the kind of profile people expect in a situation this intense, which just keeps the conversation going and the doubts building. A body cam clip from 2022 just popped back up, and it's throwing a whole new vibe into the mix.
Turning Point has been throwing millions of dollars into the stock market for the past 4 years now, and Charlie Kirk had no knowledge of that whatsoever. Now, if you also look into it a little bit deeper, if you look at the staff on that branch specifically, it says zero. It says there's nobody employed in that branch, yet they're pouring $5 million into funds for employees. Make it make sense. That sounds like money laundering to me. It sounds like there's some pyramid scheme going on behind the scenes at Turning Point that Charlie did not know about originally, and I think that he was planning to expose that, and that's ultimately what got him.
In the footage, Tyler comes across way different than the image people have been pushing. He sounds awkward, kind of goofy, and clearly uncomfortable, like someone dealing with social struggles, not someone showing confidence or control in any serious way. That contrast alone has people talking non-stop. Now you've got a wave of voices online saying he comes off like the exact type of person who could be easily influenced or misled, but that's still just speculation, not proven fact. In the clip, he's stumbling over his words, looking confused about what's even going on, and not showing any of the traits people would expect from someone accused of carrying out something so calculated. It just adds another layer of doubt that people can't ignore. Viewers breaking down that footage keep pointing out moments where Tyler comes across almost childlike in how he responds to authority. He's not pushing back, not acting calculated. He just looks confused and unsure of what's happening. His body language feels more lost than threatening, and the way he speaks suggests someone who struggles with social cues, not someone confidently planning anything complex. And this is where the conversation really heats up. When people compare Tyler's behavior in that body cam clip to the image being pushed of him as some highly calculated individual, it just doesn't line up cleanly.
No, but Egyptian
Do
plates.
you believe that Tyler Robinson murdered your husband?
Yes, I do. Again, everyone always has to think there's more to the story. Well, sometimes there's.
One specialist who reviewed the footage even said Tyler comes across as someone who could be easily influenced, especially by authority figures or people he might see as mentors or friends. But again, that's an interpretation, not a confirmed fact. The gap between how Tyler appears in real footage and the role he's accused of playing feels huge to a lot of viewers. On one side, you've got claims of a precise, controlled operation, and on the other, a person who struggles to communicate clearly during a basic interaction with law enforcement. That contrast is what's driving so much debate right now, because the difference is hard for people to ignore. Now things take another sharp turn when you look at Erika's actions side by side. Not long ago, she publicly said, "That young man, I forgive him," referring to Tyler. But now, out of nowhere, she's pushing to have him locked away for life, or even face the death penalty, while also accusing his defense team of dragging things out. That switch-up is what's got people seriously questioning what's really going on behind the scenes. And then there's another detail that's adding even more heat to the situation. The lawyer Erika chose to represent her is Jeffrey Neiman, the same attorney known for defending Alex Acosta in connection to that highly controversial Jeffrey Epstein plea deal. That connection alone has people talking, because out of all the legal options out there, this is who she decided to go with. Still, it's important to keep in mind that a lawyer's past clients don't automatically define every case they take on. But for many watching this unfold, it definitely raises eyebrows and keeps the speculation alive. The optics on this look rough, no way around it. People online quickly started connecting dots, questioning why someone pushing for justice would choose a lawyer known for representing high-profile clients in controversial situations. That choice alone has sparked a wave of reactions and side-eyes across the board. Now, some are asking bigger questions, like whether this points to there being more to the story than what's publicly known. But there's no solid proof backing those claims. Others are focused on the cost because Neiman's services don't come cheap at all. That naturally leads to questions about how those legal fees are being covered, especially with everything else going on. At the end of the day, these are questions people are raising, but clear answers still haven't surfaced. So now people are asking, where is the money coming from to fund all of this? Is it tied to TPUSA or coming from donations meant to honor Charlie's legacy? That lack of transparency is what's making the situation feel even more intense, because when answers aren't clear, speculation fills the gap fast. Then you've got the issue with this motion for a speedy trial, which is raising even more eyebrows. Under the law, that right belongs to the accused, not the victim, meaning Tyler. Robinson is the one who can actually push for things to move faster or slower. So naturally, people are questioning what Erika's motion is really trying to accomplish here. Some are interpreting it as an attempt to influence how quickly everything unfolds, but it's important to be careful with that assumption because there's no confirmed evidence proving intent. A faster trial can limit the time available for investigation, witness tracking, and evidence review, but it can also simply reflect a desire to resolve the case sooner. That's why this move is getting so much attention, because depending on how you look at it, it can raise questions or just be part of a broader legal strategy. When a trial moves too fast, the defense can get squeezed hard. There's barely enough time to prepare properly, dig into alternate angles, or track down witnesses who might challenge the main story being presented. Bringing in specialists to break down forensic evidence, that becomes a struggle too. It can start to feel like a race against the clock, where one side is already fully prepared while the other is trying to catch up. On the flip side, when a case moves slowly, it creates more room for things to surface over time. New information can come out, unexpected witnesses might step forward, and documents that stayed hidden can suddenly appear. Journalists and independent investigators get more time to dig deeper and connect details that weren't obvious at first. That's why timing becomes such a huge factor in how all of this plays out. Now, some people are tying this back to Erika and TPUSA, especially with the growing pressure surrounding that requested financial audit connected to Charlie's wishes. They're questioning whether the timing of her motion is just coincidence or something more strategic, but there's no confirmed evidence proving that link. Still, the overlap is enough to keep people talking, because when multiple issues collide at once, it naturally raises more questions. While Erika hasn't addressed her husband's request for a financial audit, people online have started digging into TPUSA on their own. Independent researchers and financial analysts are stepping in, trying to piece things together from what's publicly available, and what they're finding is raising even more questions. One user, The Parable, shared a deep dive into the organization's structure, claiming it shows patterns that resemble a multi-level marketing setup. Now, to be clear, that's an allegation based on their interpretation, not something that's been officially confirmed. Still, the breakdown they presented has caught attention, and it's adding another layer of controversy that people can't seem to ignore. According to that same breakdown, out of roughly $8.5 million in reported revenue, about $5.2 million allegedly went towards salaries, while another $2.5 million was spent on conferences and events. That distribution alone has people raising eyebrows because it suggests a huge portion of the money is cycling right back into the organization itself. The claim being pushed is that these events mainly serve to promote the group's own message and visibility, rather than operate like traditional ticket-driven gatherings. But that interpretation isn't officially confirmed. Some critics are framing it as the organization funding its own spotlight, using events to expand reach and influence while keeping the financial loop internal. Others go even further, arguing it starts to resemble a system focused more on sustaining itself than delivering clear external value. But again, those are opinions based on limited public data, not proven conclusions. Breaking those numbers down even more makes the situation look even more intense. Based on that analysis, for every dollar coming into TPUSA, about 61 cents is said to go straight to salaries. That means over half of the revenue is allegedly being used to pay the people running things, which is exactly the kind of detail that gets people talking. Then there's another roughly 29 cents reportedly going toward events. Events that are to promote the mission, but critics argue mainly serve to promote the organization itself. That framing has led some to question how much of that spending is actually reaching beyond their own circle versus just building their internal brand. That leaves a small portion, around 10 cents on the dollar by this estimate, potentially going toward the group's stated mission. Now, to be fair, nonprofit spending can vary a lot depending on strategy, and these figures are based on outside interpretations, not confirmed wrongdoing. Still, the breakdown has sparked a major debate, with people asking what tangible impact TPUSA is actually making and how exactly it supports the broader conservative movement. From how it's being presented, some critics are saying the biggest benefits seem to stay at the top. And we're not talking about minor perks either. There are claims of high six-figure salaries, while the broader mission doesn't show clear, measurable results. That contrast is exactly what's fueling the backlash and keeping people locked into this conversation. Putting numbers to it, reports suggest certain executives at TPUSA may be earning anywhere from $200,000 to $400,000 a year. The big question people keep asking is, what exactly is that compensation tied to? Public appearances, social media presence, and speaking at events are all part of the role, but critics argue those efforts don't necessarily translate into real-world impact. That's where the frustration kicks in, with some claiming the return for the cause looks minimal, while the personal financial upside for leadership appears much stronger. Still, without full financial transparency, these claims remain debated and not fully verified. And this is where things start raising even more eyebrows. Critics are pointing out that some of these high-paying roles may have gone to individuals whose qualifications are being questioned, not necessarily experienced political strategists or longtime organizers, but people with personal connections, friendships, or who simply happen to be close to the right circles at the right time. That perception alone is what's driving a lot of the pushback. It's starting to look, at least from the outside, less like a strict merit-based system and more like a tight-knit network where loyalty and connections could play a big role. Some are even describing it as feeling more like a social club with strong internal ties and generous rewards. But to be clear, these are interpretations and concerns being raised, not confirmed facts. Stay tuned because this is far from over. There are still some wild details coming up that you don't want to miss. Things only get more intense from here, and the next part might completely change how you see all of this. Now, some people are circling back to that moment at the event, wondering if it really was just a slip or something more revealing. You know the one seemed to say a little more than expected about how things operate behind the scenes. At the time, a lot of viewers brushed it off, but now with all these financial claims coming out, that moment is being re-examined in a whole new light. To some, it's starting to feel less like a simple mistake and more like a rare glimpse behind a carefully managed image. But that's still interpretation, not confirmed fact. And it doesn't stop there. According to the Parables research, the concerns around TPUSA finances go beyond just how revenue is being used, with additional claims suggesting more complicated patterns that are now drawing even more attention. Now here's another detail that's getting people talking even louder. According to that same breakdown, a huge portion of TPUSA's assets are reportedly tied up in publicly traded securities. One filing is said to show around $63 million in stocks, which would make up close to 90% of everything they own. And with newer figures claiming about $69 million in total assets, that number could be even higher now. When you look at it like that, it raises some serious questions. For an organization that presents itself as grassroots and mission-driven, having such a large share of assets sitting in the stock market stands out. Critics are pointing out that this means less money tied to physical resources, programs, or direct efforts connected to their stated goals. But it's important to note that organizations sometimes invest reserves as part of long-term financial planning. Still, some observers are going as far as suggesting it makes the structure feel more like an investment-heavy operation than a traditional advocacy group. But again, that's an opinion based on interpretation, not a confirmed conclusion. Now the big questions start stacking up fast. Who's actually managing these investments? Who's deciding where all that money goes? And who benefits when those stocks go up? Those are the kinds of details a full audit could clear up, which is exactly why people keep bringing it up in this conversation. Some critics are even suggesting that resistance to an audit raises more curiosity. But that's still an assumption, not proven fact. On top of that, there are claims from a former TPUSA employee who says they spoke out about how the organization handled its money. According to those statements, their perspective lines up with the financial patterns people are pointing to. But it's important to remember, these are allegations that haven't been independently verified. The same source also claimed that Charlie had concerns about the finances, though there's no confirmed evidence showing the full extent of what he knew. They even went as far as suggesting there may have been internal disagreements within the organization. But again, these claims remain unproven and should be taken as part of an ongoing debate, not settled fact. The whistleblower's account gets intense when you really look at what's being claimed. He described what he saw as a two-layer setup where Charlie was allegedly kept out of key financial decisions while a smaller inner group handled the money in ways that may have benefited them. Meanwhile, Charlie stayed front and center as the public face, giving speeches, showing up at events, and rallying support. According to this same source, things started to shift about 6 months before everything happened. He claims Charlie began asking more direct questions about the finances, why certain expenses looked unusually high, and why incoming revenue didn't seem to reflect real growth in the movement. Those questions, if true, suggest he was starting to look deeper into how everything was being run. The whistleblower also alleged that when Charlie asked for detailed financial records, he was told the information was too complex to go through without professional help. And each time he pushed for clarity, he reportedly ran into resistance, with people telling him to stay focused on being the public figure while others handled the financial side. Still, these are serious claims coming from one perspective and haven't been independently confirmed, so they remain part of an ongoing and highly debated narrative. According to the whistleblower, they would reassure Charlie that everything was under control and that his concerns didn't really matter. Each time he pushed, the focus would supposedly shift back to events, appearances, and staying visible. What some are calling classic distraction tactics to keep things moving without deeper scrutiny. But here's the part that really has people stuck. If Charlie truly didn't know what was happening, how is that even possible? He was the president, so naturally people expect he'd have insight into where tens of millions in assets were being held and managed. That's the question that keeps coming up over and over again. So now the conversation splits into two directions. Either there were decisions being made internally without his full awareness, something that, if true, would point to serious internal issues, or he had more knowledge than it appeared and chose not to be publicly involved in those details. Both possibilities are being debated heavily, but neither one has been definitively proven. And that's why this situation keeps gaining attention. If he truly was kept out of major financial decisions, that suggests a breakdown in oversight and internal trust that goes far beyond simple mismanagement. On the other hand, if he was aware of more than people realized, then it raises a completely different set of concerns about accountability and transparency. Right now, these are all questions and claims circulating based on limited information and individual accounts. But the uncertainty around what was known, who made key decisions, and how everything was handled is exactly what's keeping people digging for more answers. Was he trying to create distance for himself, or was he getting ready to bring everything into the open? That's the kind of question people keep circling back to. And depending on how you look at it, the implications can go in completely different directions. Either way, it shows just how many unknowns are still hanging over this entire situation. Now, some are tying that uncertainty to Erika's push for a speedy trial, suggesting it could be about resolving things quickly before more questions surface. But that's speculation, not confirmed fact. What is clear is that public trust is being tested, and a lot of viewers aren't fully convinced by the current narrative as it stands. At the same time, attention is shifting toward TPUSA itself, especially with Erika now in a leadership position. People are asking more direct questions about finances, donations, and overall transparency, and pressure isn't going away anytime soon. Critics argue that if more financial details come out, it could impact how supporters view the organization. But again, that's a prediction, not a certainty. What's undeniable is that the conversation online is moving fast. Every new document, every claim, and every inconsistency people think they spot adds more fuel to the debate. But until verified evidence and official findings come forward, much of this remains a mix of unanswered questions, interpretations, and ongoing scrutiny. There's also talk that support may already be slipping, with some longtime backers starting to ask tougher questions about where their money is actually going. A few observers claim certain donors are stepping back or staying quiet, which only adds to the sense that pressure is building around the organization. If that trend is real, it could put even more focus on leadership and how everything is being managed. And even for people who aren't convinced by the more extreme theories, there's still a lot of debate around the official version of events. Critics point to gaps in the timeline, unclear motives, and details they feel don't fully connect. Others argue that some evidence appears mishandled or not fully explained, but it's important to stress that these are claims and concerns, not confirmed conclusions. When you line it all up, the timeline, the motive, the opportunity, and the behavior afterward, some viewers feel like it doesn't form a clear, consistent picture. That's why the discussion keeps growing, especially with the added layer of financial questions and the push to move the case forward quickly. Still, until verified facts are established through proper investigation, these points remain part of an ongoing and highly contested narrative.